For one night only, straight out of the Michigan judicial system, it's the East Lansing All-Stars. Come and get entertained by such one-liners as 100,000 for assault. And who can forget just shoot that bitch? Diamond wants sex.
We're the best employment agency there is, isn't it?
She was what you would call big boned, you know?
Operators are standing by. Don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime event.
11:47 this morning from the jail. He was telling her that this wasn't right, instructing her to come bond him out, and that once they get out together, they will figure out what actually happened here. This is very concerning for my office. That, coupled with the actual observations by the officers and the fact that he did not want to respond to the officers' orders to stop trying to run away from them, the people are requesting $100,000 cash surety, along with GPS tether, victim notification, and exclusion zone. The people also request the no contact order to include the victim's children who are witnesses in this matter, whose names are reflected in the bond form. I feel that that is appropriate for this crime and for the defendant's behavior. Thank you.
Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would like to remind the court that the prior charges, assault with dangerous weapon and so forth, were from the 1990s. There have been other charges, but they have been dismissed since then. Mr. Pfeiffer does state that Mr. Smith put forward a self-defense argument in this case, and certainly enjoys the presumption of innocence. He is running his own business. He does have significant ties to the community. And so we're asking the court to reconsider a 10% bond for Mr. Smith, that he might be able to post bond at some point in this case.
Based on the excuse me, information provided by both the affidavit of probable cause, but also the prosecutor, the court does have overwhelming concern for the safety of the victim as well as the public. I believe that the request for $100,000 cash surety bond is appropriate. Bond will be set at that amount, $100,000 cash surety with GPS tether and victim notification. I'm going to order that the victim's number be blocked while the defendant is in the custody of the jail. I'm going to also order that there's a no contact order in place protecting Ms. Deandra Embry and the two minors listed here in the complaint. Mr. Smith, you're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever they live, work, go to school, go grocery shopping, worship in church, do their laundry, anything else. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of them. Do you understand that?
I do, Your Honor.
You're not to have contact directly or indirectly with them. Do you understand that?
I do, Your Honor.
You understand what direct contact means?
Conversation, telephone calls, direct contact. I do understand.
Okay. Well, give me some examples of indirect contact.
Indirect contact,
Correct.
walking past her,
Or having someone else. You can't have any third party contact. You can't use anybody else to deliver a message on your behalf. You can't call from another potential inmate's number to contact her. There's not to be any communication of any kind during the pendency of this matter. Do you understand that?
That's fine.
You can make sure you appear to all of your court dates. You've been provided your next two court dates at this time. You're not to travel outside of the state unless you get prior approval from the court. You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to use, purchase, or possess drugs or alcohol while on bond unless you have a valid prescription. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of release from custody. You'll be reporting to them weekly. Do you have any questions about your bond conditions?
I do not. $100,000. For assault. Simpson.
I'm going to remind you again of your right to remain silent, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hi, what's your name?
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. How we doing? Where are the streams? They're gone. I'm very concerned. Nobody has answers. We're not just talking McNally here. We're talking no Simpson, no DeSanto, no Middleton, no Stevens, no Webster. What the fark? Very upset. How we doing, everybody? Well, I guess we just have to find other hysterical Zoom. And we did. Oh boy. Take a listen to this. I know I uploaded this video already, but these clips are live stream material, so you can watch them a million times. Let's go. Diamond is incredible. Oh boy, listen to these charges.
Name, please.
Diamond Jenkins.
All right, Ms. Jenkins. This is case number 23056866103. People of the state of Michigan versus Diamond Jenkins. Counsel.
Thanks, Judge. Steve Benson on behalf of the people. Ryan Marad, P83665, on behalf of Ms. Diamond Jenkins, we agree to stand here. Ms. Jenkins has been advised of the right.
Thank you, counsel. The court notes formal reading has been waived. Enters a not guilty plea on your client's behalf, and I will hear your argument as to bond.
Thanks, Judge. This is a recent matter that just occurred allegedly about a week and a half ago. This particular defendant, the people would like to know, it appears as though she's being charged with 3 counts. Counts 1, 3, and 5 out of 12 for ultimately all 3 of these defendants. Dear Judge, allegedly due to an incident that took place the night prior,
Brutal.
Where the defendant 1 held a firearm to one of the complainants involved in this case's head, demanding sex. Then defendant 3, Ms. Diamond Jenkins, goes to that house the following day because that individual defendant had left a book bag over there. Defendant 3, here, Judge, attempts to allegedly instigate a fight.
Why doesn't, in my entire life, no woman has ever put a gun to my head and asked me for sex? I mean, really? And this guy's complaining? Come on. This guy should be under arrest. Jerk.
With people at that residence.
I'm sorry.
Like a hand-to-hand fight. But then
What up,
subsequently,
Lucy?
defendant
I got
3
your videos,
allegedly
Lucy.
tells both defendants 1 and 2, and this is based on statements of the complainants that ended up giving those to the police. She says, "Shoot that bitch." Then gunshots began. That complainant that says she heard that statement gets hit 5 times with gunshots. And then there are 3 other individuals that sustain gunshots. One of which sustains 2 and the other 2 end up sustaining 1. But allegedly, defendant 3 here also was heard saying, "Go over there and finish that bitch." Referring to complainant 1.
How are we finishing them though?
Your Honor, there's also multiple surveillance, ring doorbell surveillance that captures the shooting, as well as a female voice, allegedly defendant 3 here, stating, "Run your whole ass up, don't you fucking come back."
May I speak, Your Honor?
No, hey, not yet. That's just the prosecutor. He knows they're only allegations and they might not be true. So just hold on.
Now, Your Honor, subsequent to the shooting, the police ended up surveilling defendant's vehicle, which was identified at the time of the shooting at the residence. They surveil her vehicle and they observe her and the defendants driving to a pier somewhere in Grosse Pointe, where the surveillance watches them discard multiple objects into the water.
Oh.
Your Honor, also here we have multiple.
Really, Kitch? Oh, thank you. Why didn't you text me that earlier then? You know I was having a panic attack. Go through withdrawals. Oh, okay. We good.
Witnesses and victims who have identified the defendant, either saying what was previously mentioned in this matter, or that defendant 3 was at the scene of the incident, driving the vehicle that got all the defendants to and from the incident scene, as well as the vehicle that was used to discard the objects in the water. Your Honor, I personally have handled the arraignments on the 2 other defendants in this matter. Here we have 4 gunshot victims. We have 1 receiving 5 gunshots.
Okay, well that answers my question. Well, I didn't know because I had state testing. I was testing my students all week, so I wasn't watching a lot of court during the day either. So I probably missed it. All right, we good. Thank you, people. That's why I love you.
All of them ultimately end up having guns. I think it's clear, just based on the allegations in this matter, that this defendant is potentially, likely, is a danger to the community. She also has a previous conviction. That's why there's a habitual notice in this matter for resisting obstructing a police officer. Your Honor, as a result of the allegations, previous conviction, as well as everything that happened in this matter, the people would be asking for a cash bond for this defendant, the amount of $250,000, no surety.
Thank you.
Judge, on behalf of Ms. Jenkins, I would argue that she is 30 years old, Your Honor. She's a resident here, a life resident in the city of Detroit. She does have a child. She has a significant other than a child that she doesn't reside with. She's not employed right now, supporting a family size of 2. She's well within the guidelines. I guess when I say supporting, Your Honor, I don't mean financially, because there's no finances here. She indicates she's getting some power.
Could you imagine then at the conference after it's all over, they're getting tanked and they're like on their phone. They're like, "Simpson, did you see when they're making fun of you on this one? Did you see the last time served video? You see the biggin video on you? You see Irish and Team Skeptic that was a good one, wasn't it? Hey, McNally! Hey, Mike's here! Oh my God, we got to go to that one. We'd be like the paparazzi outside. We're such nerds.
Oh. I didn't hear anything about Ms. Jenkins actually shooting.
My students, I teach special education, so we were done very quick. So, thank you, Heather, for the dono. There we go, starting off the train. Thank you so much. Thank you, Heather. Much appreciated.
We're here, she's here because verbatim, someone heard a female that they believe to be her. That's why we're here. I don't know how many other people were here. I don't know if we're here. There's some sort of, I guess, allegation that she has some sort of relation with. I don't have that either. I understand what the allegations are. arrest. She's not allowed to have actually shot anybody. This could be a case where somebody's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And we are going, I understand there are some alleged statements that may lead the court to believe otherwise.
What's
but
up, legal?
This is about whether or not she's waiting.
Oh, that's awesome, Rita.
I think the court GPS never heard to her home. I guess the circumstances would be because she's not alleged to have committed the acts of violence. Now, whether or not the comments that may or may not have been made by her potentially could have exacerbated the results here, that's gonna get flushed out of the exam, Your Honor. I don't have a case history. There's one R&O conviction, nothing else, no other pending matter. She's within the poverty guidelines. She has a child in the community. She's got some medication. She's not getting into jail. I just asked the court to tether her to her home. I know the charges are serious. I asked for a GPS tether on her personal life. But there's nothing, depending on the circumstances of the R&O, I'm gonna argue that there's nothing assault. I don't know if it was under the resisting or obstructing categorical approach to my client, but I don't have anything else. And these are words that are being used to shut her. It's gonna have to flush itself out. I asked the court to first $1 amount is on the floor.
Thank you. DDC, please mark this file medical. Please mark the file medical.
Copy, Your Honor.
I'm going to take a moment with the investigator's report.
Going to make any statements.
Shh. Quiet. That's Judge Bryant's public defender. You hear him, Mr. Ahmoud? I think he changed. He went somewhere else, obviously, but we don't see him in Judge Bryant anymore. It's all Stevenson. Why are you crying? Like, give it a break. Did you hear what you allegedly did? Sex? Ugh. Tick, tick, tick.
Defense counsel, I do acknowledge your point that what was heard was a voice, and that there were actually sounds like two females present while this was going on, and a female voice was heard. But they have narrowed this down somewhat. What does concern me, though, is that, in terms of the identification even of the voice, these are parties who are known to each other. They had had an incident with each other just prior. And so that does give some weight to the identification of the voice, that this was a voice that would have been known to the person who said that they attributed the statement to this defendant, encouraging the shooting that occurred. Bond is set here in the amount of $150,000 cash surety. There is to be no contact or attempted contact with complainants, meaning no verbal contact, no written contact, no contact through third parties or social media. Any attempted contact would be considered a violation of the conditions of the bond. In addition, if Ms. Jenkins is able to make the bond, she must be fitted with a GPS tether before she leaves the jail. That GPS tether requiring full home confinement at this time. There will be a bond review hearing on Tuesday in front of Judge McConaughey, May 23rd in front of Judge McConaughey. After that, there will be a probable cause conference, May 26th, in front of Judge Sabri, and then preliminary examination is set for May 31st, also in front of Judge Sabri.
Bye-bye. Shot up 5 times. Like, really? Ugh.
Okay, Ms. Jenkins, you're all done for today. You'll be back in front of a judge on Tuesday, May the 23rd, who will reconsider the bond that I set for you here today.
McConaughey, mark it down. We will be there. Oh my God. All right. Kirkman was on fire this morning. Mr. Personality himself. And poor Mr. Chapman. There's something wrong with. I think he may have Parkinson's, or it's not Bell's palsy, but I think he may have Parkinson's because he shakes. I feel so bad. My uncle has Parkinson's. It's terrible. And I mean, he does a great job, but they were laughing today. Oh boy, this was a goodie. Kirkman, you are a bottle of laughs, not a barrel. He ain't no barrel. He's a bottle. A bottle.
Bond that would assure your attendance at the next hearing on May 31st, 2023 at 8:45 a.m. You will get notice of that in writing. Are you able to post a bond, sir?
No, sir.
What up, Monica?
Something for a PR.
Well, I'm not going to grant you a PR. I understand it's your first bench warrant, but you have a sizable arrearage and you haven't paid in over a year. So
I just had
what?
I just had a job here recently.
Oh,
Okay. When did you
job.
get a job? Because you just said you're not working.
No,
You are working.
Recently, I had a job. I had it within the last year.
Okay, and you didn't pay in the last year.
I mean, they were taking payments out of my check.
Okay, well, it says the last payment you made was in April of 2022, so look for taking it out of your check.
Last year. Okay, that was last year. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a new year. I'm sorry.
What the court's going to do is, in view of all that, the court's going to set your bond in the amount of $500. Also order that you reimburse the sheriff's transportation costs of $137.04. If you're able to do that, you'll be able to be released. Do you have any questions?
But I'm not going to be able to do that, sir.
Okay,
And
well
I'm
then,
supposed to be going for a job interview a few days ago.
yeah, you'll remain there until the May 31st hearing then, unfortunately.
So now I'm going to miss my other court date I got in Kalamazoo.
I have no idea what you have in Kalamazoo, but if you
Is
miss
there-
that,
I mean,
they'll.
Is there a way you could please let me out today? Because I'm supposed to be going for a job interview. Like, get a job.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna let you out, sorry. Court will end this hearing at 8:16 a.m. You're free to go. Thank you.
Classic. Wait, here it is.
We're the best employment agency there is, isn't it?
They all have interviews there.
Yeah.
Get him, Kirkman.
Is this Mr. Poplar?
Okay.
Mr.
Oh,
Poplar?
this is a good one too.
Yes.
Okay. Now before the court is J. Twan Poplar of case 16361 DP. Mr. Poplar is here today after failing to appear before referee Nets on December 9th, 2019. Bond is currently set at $2,742. This is the sixth bench warrant. He reports no employment. Last payment made on this account was in December of 2022. The Calhoun County Sheriff's Department is requesting transportation cost reimbursement in the amount of $137.04. Front of the court recommends that a reasonable bond be set on this matter and it be scheduled for hearing on May 31st, 2023 at 8:00 a.m. before this court.
Thank you. Mr. Poplar, you're before the court charged with civil contempt of court due to your failure to appear at a prior hearing as a result of your failure to pay child support. Just a second, I'll go through this and then you can talk. The purpose of this hearing is to set a bond that would assure your attendance at the next hearing on May 31st, 2000.
Now, where are they getting that echo from? Who's so annoying? There's nothing we can do.
23 at 8:00 a.m. You will get notice of that in writing. Go ahead, sir. What did you have? You had a question?
Yeah, I was telling them that I had FOC court along the way. I've been going in and out of jails. They've been sending me to jails across Michigan and Indiana. So I was trying to get them to give me a proof of incarceration. They wouldn't. But my lawyer, Mrs. Reed Outlaw, I still have her number. She was in South Bend, Indiana. And that's who, this was after I was incarcerated in Kalamazoo in December 2019. I was gonna say, I've been employed trying to make payments. Once I recently got out, I had 3 years. They had made me serve 3 years for something that I've done or had to plead into. So that's the only reason why those contempts probably happened, because I was dealing with jail from somewhere else. And then
Well, right, I recognize that, but you still have a sizable arrearage, and you haven't paid. You haven't paid in a while.
one last thing, I had this there's this card that has this money on it, and I don't know how I'm gonna be able to get it, but I was trying to tell them like I can make a payment if I
What is it? A Chipotle gift card? Starbucks?
was to get out.
Okay.
But
Listen.
I was gonna say I'm not sure how much my payment plan is, so
Okay.
I was trying to see what
Let me
can I
ask
do to
you.
be.
Let me ask you. How much are you able to post as far as a bond? Do you know?
Like cash,
Yeah.
not any, but once I get, like, I don't think I'm able to make a bond. Like, the bond's way too high.
Well,
Like,
okay.
I'm still trying to, like, I'm still struggling myself, but I'm able to pay at least, like, like $10, $20, $30, $40 at
Okay.
least, and to get me to get to court, because I missed the interview, and then
Yeah.
I had a job opportunity lined up, but I'm not
Thank
sure
you,
if it's
Michelle.
there anymore, but I'm pretty sure that they'll work with me because they seen that I was just getting home.
Okay. Well, let me do this. I am going to reduce your bond substantially in hopes that you could be released, but it may be too much for you. I'm going to set your bond in the amount of $500. Also order that you would reimburse the sheriff transportation costs of $137.04. If you're able to pay that, you'd be able to be released. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do I have a release date?
No, you have a hearing date on May 31st, and then we'll decide everything at that particular point.
Okay, so I'll probably get released on May 31st.
I don't know. It depends on what happens at the hearing.
Okay, so okay, yeah, I'm looking for convenience release.
Okay.
Because I
Okay.
don't live in Calhoun, and they got the wrong address down.
Okay.
You've got to notify the front of the court whenever you move, and if you don't, all they do is send it to your last known address. So, yeah, from here on out, whenever you move, change your address. You've got to notify the front of the court, or they just continue to send it to the old
I
address.
got some. Calhoun has my address is 404 West Patterson, Kalamazoo, Michigan, 49007.
Saying Calhoun has your address, you have to notify the front of the court. There's a form that you fill out as a change of address. Okay. Court will end this hearing at 8:21 a.m. You're free to go. Have a good day. See, we're a good employment agency. I'm getting an interview.
Now before the court is Kamani Fuller of case 213424 DP. Mr. Fuller is here today after failing to appear before referee Bradfield on December 16th, 2022. Bond is currently set at $500. This is the first bench warrant. He reports no employment. There have been no payments made on this account. The Calhoun County Sheriff's Department is requesting transportation cost reimbursement in the amount of $313.72. Front of the court recommends that a reasonable bond be set in this matter and it be scheduled for hearing on May 31st, 2023 at 8:45 a.m. before this court.
Thank you. Mr. Fuller, you're before the court charged with civil contempt of court due to your failure to appear at a prior hearing as a result of your failure to pay child support. Purpose of this hearing is to set a bond that would assure your attendance at the next hearing on May 31st, 2023 at 8:45 a.m. You will get notice of that in writing. Are you able to post a bond, sir?
Yes, I am, but I just paid $494 a couple days ago before I even came here.
Okay.
That's real.
Okay. Well, we'll look that up and stuff, but how much are you able to post as far as a bond?
$6.
I can give up $200 to $300 today. That'll be
Oh.
800 all together this week.
There we go.
So you could pay 800?
No, I gave them 494 already, and I only
Okay.
got 300 left on me.
Well, what the court will do in this matter is the court will I'll reduce your bond and set your bond in the amount of $300. Also, the court will order that you reimburse the sheriff transportation costs of $313.72. If you're able to post the bond, you'd be able to be released. You understand that, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can I ask another question?
Sure.
I've been disabled for the last year since February 2nd, 2022. I haven't had no job. I just literally got my job. I just got able to post to work. Just got marked off to work. Actually 2 Mondays ago, and I started working last week. And I got this whole week laid off because of this and a misdemeanor in the city. So I gotta see do I got my job back? See can I get my job back? The thing is, I was saying was y'all was sending the papers to my mom's address, and I stayed somewhere totally different.
Well, that's because the last address that the front of the court had was that address that you'd given them. So if you move, you have an obligation to change your address, and every order that you get says in there that if you are moving, you have to change your address. So if you don't change it, they just keep sending it to the last known address.
Yes.
So
I
you have
understand
to,
that.
you have to fill out a form at the front of the court saying I've moved and this is my new address, and then they'll send everything there.
No, that's okay. I understand that, but I never lived with my mom when I had my son. I always stayed at 16620 Greenfield Road apartment. But it's okay now because I just got evicted and I'm back with my mom now.
Okay.
So I was letting y'all know the whole time y'all sending the information to the wrong house, and now I'm back at my mom's house because I just got on disability.
Okay.
But I
Well,
got evicted.
somehow that address came up in your file because we don't just pick an address out of the sky saying, okay, we'll send it here. We only send it there if you live there at some point, and that was the address that they sent all the pleadings to. So I don't know how that happened, but apparently it won't happen again because you are at your mom's. So that'll be that's all we need to do today. The court will end this matter at 8:26 a.m. You're free to go.
Okay. So
Thank
I gotta change my address when I get a new house.
You have to change your address, correct?
Okay, thank you. I know
Thank
that's
you.
not.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Is that it, or do you have anything else?
I have some benchmarks for the record. They can
Okay.
wait till Monday if.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right.
Sorry, did you get my sorry, don't.
Oh.
Good morning.
Okay. First of all, we got a lot of things going on here. One thing on him is bigger than the other. I'm not going to say it, but something is off. And his, oh my God, I'm just not even going to say anything. It is fantastic.
Hi, Mr. Drew. How are you today?
Blessed, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Drew, on January 31st, 2022, you received citations for failure to control speed and no driver's license. How do you want to handle those today? We've never seen you on those. Do you want to plead not guilty, no contest, or guilty?
Condiments.
I could plead no contest if that gets me out today, because
You can plead any of it and get out today.
Yes, ma'am, no contest, because I'll come down now on Monday.
Okay. I mean, you could plead not guilty and be here on Monday.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
So which do you want?
Not guilty.
Okay.
Sorry for the misunderstanding.
We do need to talk about these, failure to maintain financial responsibility and running a stop sign. You had set up a payment arrangement as an adult. You set up a payment arrangement on those offenses. You.
Yes, ma'am, I started paying those, but my mother has congestive heart failure now. And so around that time when I was paying those and set up for those, that's when it came about. So it has been very, very traumatic and hard on me. And that's the only person, that I can really depend on. So I have to really work with my mother.
So Christina.
So sorry. If I could try to set up a new payment plan or arrangement, I can definitely. Yes, ma'am. Because she's doing a lot more better. It's just that I have to make sure she takes her heart medicine.
How old is your mother?
She just turned 55.
Why do you have to make sure she takes her heart medicine, Mr. Drew?
Because all of our other kids don't live here in Amarillo.
But my kids don't live here and they're not responsible for my heart medicine. I don't take heart medicine, but
I'm responsible because she was what you would call big boned,
Yeah.
And so when she went to the hospital, now she's slimmer than me. So it makes it very fragile for my mother to do things. She can't pick things up. She can't really cook clean. So I have to help her. Sorry, it just made me cry a little. But yes, ma'am, she'll live.
But Mr. Drew, I guess my question is, when you have a concern about a loved one like that, and you know that you don't want them to be left alone, I would think that you would want to come into the court on your own.
We have no transportation, ma'am. Like none whatsoever. No transportation. Like I said,
Whose car were you in last night?
Whose car was I? My sister's.
Okay,
she's down here for one day.
I'm just asking because you said you have no transportation, yet you were stopped in a vehicle.
Yes, with my sister, I wasn't driving. My sister's down here for one day, and she has to leave this morning. She came to really help my mother, bring my mother to take her, get her medicine, and help me. And now she has to come bond me out. So I can
to bond you out. You just pled.
Well, yes, ma'am. I thought you said I could get out.
I said you could get out on the 2 new ones.
So I won't be able to take care of my mother today?
Mr. Drew, let me say something, okay? So you still owe, there's the open container passenger charge from 515.
Oh,
yes, he gave me that yesterday, ma'am.
Oh, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yes, Miss Hamilton, she said she would pay it in full if I can go.
Mr. Drew, give me just a second. There's another offense that the open container.
Miss Hamilton?
Mr. Drew, can you give me just a moment, please?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I had a question. Sorry.
That's okay. Give me just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. Sandlin, you have 3 options available to you in this type of matter. Your first option is to admit responsibility without an explanation. In other words, pay the citation.
So on May 15th of 2018.
Your second option is to admit responsibility with an explanation. Court will take the explanation into consideration. If there are any mitigating.
We're going to jump. Oh, okay. So we have a ghetto Karen. A ghetto Karen. I've been saving this one. Here we go. First of all, she is done up for court. She's looking her very best, y'all. I can't. Look at her. Oh my God. And she put her email for everyone to see. Oh, dumbass. Oh boy. Let's
factors
go.
in your explanation that may be taken into consideration with regard to the fine. The court does not have discretion with regard to points on your license. That is a function of the Secretary of State. Or your third option is to deny responsibility. If you choose to deny responsibility, the court would then need sworn testimony, both from the deputy and from yourself. Based upon a preponderance, which is a standard of proof, meaning roughly 51% either side, the court would then make a determination as to whether or not you are responsible for the citation. Do you have any questions with regard to these three options?
No, sir.
How do you wish to proceed today?
The third one, I wish to, I was not at fault.
Okay.
I-
Let me have you both raise your right hand to be sworn.
Yes, sir.
You both swear or affirm the testimony you provide today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth and matter before the court today?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, then you can both lower your hands. All right, Ms. Sandlin, I'm gonna hear from the deputy first, and you'll have an opportunity to respond. As to both parties refrain from interrupting each other. If there's questions to the other party, please direct those to the court and not directly to each other. Deputy, you may proceed.
So I was dispatched to a crash on Tyler Road near Chevrolet, and when I showed up during my investigation, I found that second vehicle was driving eastbound on Tyler, and Miss Sandlin was at the stop sign on Chevrolet. And then when the vehicle 2 proceeded, they don't have a stop sign on Tyler. They were going, and she went from the stop sign and collided with the second vehicle on the right side.
Okay. I'm just
So
getting a
she-
map of the location here. Hang on a second.
Yeah. So then I issued the ticket for fail to yield, causing a traffic crash.
Okay.
Ryan. Grossly inappropriate.
There it is. Okay. That piece of Tyler. Okay.
Look at that
All right.
face.
Yeah.
Which direction Chevrolet was Miss Sandlin driving? North or south?
She was driving north on Chevrolet, stopped at the stop sign at Tyler Road,
Okay. And the other vehicle was traveling east or west?
eastbound Tyler.
Eastbound Tyler. Okay. All righty. And when you arrived, were the vehicles still in the intersection, or did they moved out from where the collision occurred?
Her vehicle had been moved more to the right down Tyler Road a little bit after the collision. The second vehicle that was got hit and then stopped approximately 30 to 50 feet from there.
Okay. And where would you describe the points of impact on the two vehicles?
Her vehicle was all front end. And then the vehicle that she hit was right side, the right front, the passenger door.
Got it. Okay. All right, Ms. Sandlin, what do you want to tell the court today?
Yes, I would like to tell the court, I was dropping my daughter off at the bus stop when the young man that was clearly speeding, I had already yielded, stopped, yield. I was through the intersection. He was coming down at a fast rate of speed. Fair enough, he doesn't have a stop sign, but he would have seen me stop and go. He was chasing the school bus that I just put my daughter on. So he was trying to get behind that school bus, and I was already stopped, look left, look right, and I was already going, at what time I was impacted and pushed to the other side of the street. So the failure to yield, I had already yielded and stopped. At the time when the officer did arrive,
She has notes and yellow fingernails.
he was uncompassionate. He didn't check on me or my infant. My vehicle was totaled from this other driver speeding to catch a school bus. So I was just in, and I also drive for my job. So these type of points I can't have because I work for a group home. So I drive the work van as well. But in this situation, I do believe that, and I've never rebooted a ticket ever before in my 38 years. But I was already through. I had stopped. If this young man wasn't going at such a rate of speed, even me yielding, he still would have hit. If he wouldn't have hit me, he would have hit the school bus. That's how fast he was going in this Charger, Your Honor. The deputy, he sat in his car. He was uncompassionate. The neighborhood was coming out, making sure I was okay. He responded with the young man in the Charger, and I was just like chopped liver. I was scared. I've never been in a car accident before. I didn't know what was going on. I just felt really, and it was insult to injury that I got a ticket when I was just being a single mom, dropping my daughter off at the bus stop. No fault to myself that I had no fault and my vehicle was totaled. That's my own fault. That's all I could afford. But this ticket was really insult to injury when the young man shouldn't have been speeding in his Charger when the school was 5 minutes. I'm driving 30 minutes from Dearborn to bring my children to school. I just moved. And there was no reason for that young man to be flying down. Now I could see if he was on his way to catch his mom, catch a stroke. He was chasing the school bus.
Okay. All right. Deputy, can you remind me again where the points of impact were on the two vehicles?
The impact on the Charger was right side passenger door and front right tire, and her damage was on the front of her vehicle all the way across.
Okay. All right. So the impact was her car would have been striking his car at that point. Yeah. He'd already crossed through into the intersection, and she's coming into the intersection based upon the impact points, if I'm understanding that correctly. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And were you able to speak with anybody else, the bus driver, for example, or anybody else that was in the area, Deputy?
Bus driver was on my arrival. The infant that she's talking about was already gone and picked up. I never saw an infant. And I only spoke to driver of Charger, driver of her, and then made my decision based on the damages of the vehicle.
Okay. All righty. Anything else you want to add, ma'am?
No, sir. No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the situation here is, Chevrolet is a controlled intersection. It's to stop and yield to traffic moving on. Tyler does have the right of way. Given where the points of impact were into the two vehicles, the other vehicle was into the intersection already, and then you proceeded in and struck that vehicle at that point in time. So I do find that the citation for fail to yield was properly issued. The $130 fine. You do have 7 days to appeal my decision. If you'd like to file an appeal, you can contact the clerks. They can tell you how to file an appeal.
Sorry, Karen.
Would you need some time to pay that, or can you pay that online today?
No, I would definitely need some time. Is there any way it can be like a impeding traffic? Because with this failure to yield, that messes with my job. And if I can't drive a work van, I wouldn't be able to pay the ticket.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have any discretion on points. And when I asked the deputy at the very beginning if he was going to make you any offers, he indicated he was not. So this is where we are at this point. So can you have it paid by July the 3rd?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And like I said, if you want to appeal my decision, you can call the clerks and they can tell you how to file an appeal too. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day. Stay safe, ma'am. Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a TPO. No. Two sisters are going at it. Judge Elf ain't having it. Let's roll.
What is your connection to the respondent?
She's my sister.
All right. And just out of curiosity, have you two ever lived together?
Yes,
When was the last time that was true?
2018.
Okay, and how long did you two live together?
Well, on and off for about 4 or 5 months, I think.
Okay, did you two grow up in the same house?
We did not. It's about an 18-year age gap.
Okay. So, you've attached a statement to your petition. And so talk me through what led you to filing this petition.
She moved down with my sister. I began to notice that her voice sounded a little different, where she couldn't articulate what was wrong. I visited over my Christmas break from my job, and I saw some things to me that were disturbing. And it is abuse, even though it's not physical. She was charging her for utilities, for rent, and yelling at her when she would forget it. So I said, maybe she's having some trouble with this. This is all news to us. And I said, okay, hopefully, I think things would probably get better. It didn't. My mom, at 74 years old, had left church in a rental car and came straight up to Iowa in an attempt to get to me, to get away from whatever is so horrible that she did not want to return.
When is this?
This is 2018. No, I'm sorry, it's 2017, February 2017.
All right, so here's what I need. We're going to start. So you have filed this petition in your name,
yes,
alleging acts of stalking that have been committed against you. And so this is going to be difficult because I know that a relationship here is driven in large part by the relationship each of you has with your mother. But talk me through what has been going on this year.
Okay, so I nothing has been much going on this year because the relationship was so toxic that I've cut off all communication with her or those who work with her for about 3 years. I could not prove those previous forms of abuse, kicking us out, making us homeless, and all these other things. So she did have access still to the apartment to come and see mom. And it's always, always, always an agenda. It's never to really see about mom. It's so that she can have her hand into control. So on the Saturday that I reported her, the reason she couldn't come in, the reason that she on the Saturday I reported her, the reason that was a problem is because she came in illegally bypassing the security call box. And if she hadn't have come in that way, we wouldn't have had most likely that issue. So the following Monday, I requested that the leasing office look on the cameras to see who was allowing her to come in. And they said, we didn't see nothing and all of that. Well, they said, well, we were watching your apartment door on our cameras. What they were watching was her, because she was standing in, and the reason why the leasing office didn't want to disclose that is because they had allowed her, who just 2 days prior came in illegally, to purchase a key. And they underhandedly put it on our rental receipt as a $50 credit instead of a charge, so that it would go unnoticed. Only reason I knew about it is because I'm signed up with our rental portal. And so that's the only way I was notified. I, who live in the apartment, who has a valid power of attorney, wasn't told that someone had access to our apartment. So that was issue number.
Carry on.
Okay, so after that, this person who has not been involved in any medical things, primarily because my mother said out of the 3 daughters, she only really wanted me and the oldest to have any information, whether it's medical, financial, home, or anything. She wouldn't even allow Deborah to go in to a doctor's appointment because, in her words, she said she was a crook and a scam and she didn't trust her, period. That's why she was not on any documents ever. So even in the case of that, in 5 years, someone who lives within 5 minutes makes the excuse that she doesn't know any of her doctors, even through breast cancer, none of the chemo treatments, none of that. Now, all of a sudden, after she's been exposed on my Ring camera, she wants to be involved. She wants to take and coerce my mom to sign a false power of attorney while she's in a declined state of dementia, which, by the way, I don't understand how that could happen, because there's an advance directive that is dated April 2021, specifically stating she lacks sufficient comprehension. And that wasn't on my part. That was on the doctor's. She was so frustrated, quite frankly, that she couldn't get a straight answer out of my mother. And when I would try to, chime in, my sisters had fed my mom all these lies that you don't really have dementia. Charlize doesn't really need to be there. She's a helicopter. So that she had kind of turned against me. But the doctor pointed at me and she said, you go see my office manager right now, because she didn't know how to serve my mom. It was just nonsensical. That was 2 years ago. So that's how we have that advance directive. When my mother was more competent, she on her own had me go to her Wells Fargo bank down the street and made me power of attorney. And if I'm deceased or if something happens to me, then she made Terry Coleman, my oldest sister who lives in Maryland. So there's a reason why Deborah was never, ever on paperwork and lives 5 minutes from here. So this is a retaliation mode because her behavior finally got caught on camera. And now I have proof, just the tip of the iceberg of how she is behind the scenes. I was physically assaulted twice since this happened. Once by my oldest sister. So she's using her as a tool. You're the tool or a target.
I need names or I'm not going to be able to keep this
Oh,
straight.
okay. So I
Who's
have
your
an
oldest
oldest
sister?
sister, Terry Coleman, who lives in Maryland. So
And
once
when
she
were you
found out about,
assaulted?
yes, once she found out about the TPO, she
Estimated
came
date,
down.
please, before you carry on. Estimated date that this happened.
Saturday. I'm sorry. This past Saturday was May 13th is the estimated date.
So this is after you filed your petition.
Yes.
Okay, you have not told me about the things in your petition, despite my best efforts.
Oh,
So you're going to
okay, I'm
redirect.
sorry.
So your narrative starts with some things that took place. You talked about the cart and you said that she brought food by.
Oh, yes. Okay, let me
All
just
right,
tell the
so
whole
let's try to
story about
focus
that.
in on your actual interactions with the
Okay,
respondent
that's the same
over
petition.
those few days, and then we'll figure
Okay,
out.
so she normally visits about once every 2 months. She came in to take mom grocery shopping. She came back with groceries on a maintenance cart, and she left that maintenance cart in the entryway. I do not accept any gifts, foods, or anything from that family at all. Never have. When it comes, I give it away. I also had a grocery delivery on the way, so it wouldn't make sense to have that. So I gave it away, and I pushed that cart right outside my door. And so she came back with a gallon of iced tea, something else my mom doesn't drink, and she noticed the groceries were gone. And so that's when she, flipped out. And so when she flipped out, she said, "I will do something to you. I'm gonna have to leave." And so that was on the Saturday that she came in and bypassed security, again, disturbing the peace. Obviously I can't keep her away because I don't have proof of the abuse, but it still has to be monitored by me. Nobody can just come in. That's why it's there. My mom had strangers coming in and going out at night. That's why I have a Ring camera, but it just so happened that I caught her. So when she did that, I called the police because the way she was going on a rampage, I felt uncomfortable and I didn't know what she would do. That Monday, she got the keys by turning in these some documents. The leasing office to this day would not tell me what the documents are, but I found out from the doctor's office. So all throughout the week, she came every single day, back to back, with family members who hadn't seen mom in over a year. Her grandkids put them in the camera, trying to taunt me and all of that, because she was showing, now I have legal access and I will do anything. Because somehow she talked the leasing people into giving her those keys with a $50 transaction, which to this day it still shows as a credit. I didn't know this, but she had also gone around to mom's doctors. So I had to take her to these important doctors. Every single one of her doctors I've taken her to. So 2 weeks ago, she went for a mammogram. I kept getting text alerts that the MyChart or online system for Emory was trying to send me messages, and I'm sure it was the results from her mammogram. I didn't have access to it because she had turned in those falsified power of attorneys there for Emory and removed my email. So now she had access to all mom's medical, which mom would never have. And then it's directive from 2 physicians saying she's been lacking comprehension from 2021. But what he said was, we're going to have to get our legal team involved in her keys. So when I was asked in the office, they said, we don't know about all that. They were very hostile against me. She took my mom somewhere out on the road. All I saw was I-20 because I've always had a tracking app on my mom for 8 years. This has been ongoing. And so at least I would know where she was, but they were out later than usual, even from the previous times that she visited. And when all this happened, I'm like, I don't know where my mom is. So I reported it because she wasn't answering her phone and I didn't know what was going on. So finally, it showed the car returning and going to Deborah Berry's house. So my older sister, who had my mother in her possession, drove to Deborah's house. And I said, okay, I showed the police. I said, I see she's back in town, but she's at the house where we have a TPO against, a person we have a TPO against. They said, so they called her and by the way, they had turned mom's phone off, so I couldn't track her at that time. But when they called her, they turned the network back on. They sweet talked these police officers And the police didn't, after scrutinizing my paperwork for over 20 minutes to make sure I was the legal power of attorney and all this stuff, advance directive, all they did was talk to them over the phone. They didn't even go over to her house to lay eyes on my mother. And they never laid eyes on her afterwards. So what did they do? They took advantage of that time, which should have taken 5 minutes from progress to bring her back. They brought my mom back an hour and 32 minutes later at 1:55 a.m. She didn't take her pills. Her schedule was off. She stayed up to 4 o'clock going downstairs because she was confused. And that was very disheartening. In addition to that, the reason I found out that they took so long is because they had stolen mom's phone and tossed it off the side of the road. Now, if the police had gone over and laid eyes, not only on her, but to them, it would have presented aside some type of accountability. I don't think they would have done that. I don't think they would have done that little power move of taking an hour and a half to bring her just to, to keep me concerned. And I definitely don't think they would have tossed her phone out in order to.
So what happened to your mother as part of it, as an end result?
Yeah, she was brought back then, stabilized, and then the next morning is when I overheard that they were taking her out of town. So I said, Mom, you always like to have your phone with you. Let's make sure you have your phone. I began to ring it. I didn't hear anything. My oldest sister, who was taking her out of town, kept coercing her. Oh, come on, ignore her. And they finally got to the elevators. I was like, well, let me try one more time. My sister pushed me off the elevator 3 times on camera.
You're talking about Ms. Coleman.
Coleman, yes. She assaulted me right there, and it was just bad. I still got on the elevator, and that's when I realized the phone was in the same place as it was the previous night. So that's how I realized it wasn't on her person. It wasn't on the car. They had tossed it. The next day, I went out at 11 p.m., took an Uber. And as I was going out, Miss Coleman and my mother were coming in. And I went and I found the phone. Now, they were feeding her lies that I stole her phone and keys, again, all in attempt to deter me. While I was waiting for you, the new order came in for her phone. If I took her phone, why would I purchase a whole new phone for her? The phone that she had been given, her original phone, was put in the trash chute because I rang it and I heard it. So I let her use my phone. But she needed her own phone, especially after I found out that they tossed it. I didn't think that I could find it, but I thank God that I could, but I had already ordered her a new phone, and it literally just came in today. In addition, I don't know what happened to her keys, but I know 2 unauthorized people who don't live here were frequently coming in and out. So it's just been a lot. And I was told by Officer Bailey that it's best to press charges when they can see the camera footage. So it's not he said, she said. So that was the second assault. The first assault was when Terry Coleman had snuck my mother down into the office in an attempt to get a key. I had gone down there to get a copy of the fake power of attorney that they accepted for the first sister, Debbie, to see how would you guys give out a key to someone's apartment? What are these documents? When I went down there, the leasing office said, oh, I'll show it to you on Monday because I'm having a meeting with your mom right now. Does that make sense? My mom has dementia. I live here. I'm on the lease. Why wouldn't I be notified or no? Because my sister was in there. So when I attempted, then I heard my mother's laughter, and I have this all recorded. So when I attempted to go into the office to see what they're talking about, this lady, a pregnant lady, literally puts up her arm and blocks me. I said, okay, this is my mom. I'm going in. Then she uses her whole body to push me. Put a pregnant lady push me.
Who is this person?
What's that?
Who is this person?
Oh, her name is Deja Boyce. She's a assistant leasing agent. So both of these sisters, Debbie and Terry, have been talking over with them. That's why they can get over and not get reprimanded for coming in illegally. That's why they can get keys and have this access, because they have created this false narrative about me. It was all a plan once she got caught on camera and I gave her that TPO. They went on a retaliation rampage because, again, we live 5 minutes away, and in 5 years, you don't know one doctor, and now all of a sudden you care. Anyway, she pushed me, and she made a false claim that I pushed her. She called the police on me, threatened to press charges, but then they would need to have camera footage, which would show the truth. Long story short,
when did this incident play out?
Oh, this is
When
definitely
did this incident take
story.
place?
Oh my goodness.
Estimated date. 3 days ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago.
Oh no, last week. All this happened after
the filing.
Exactly. It's like attack after attack after attack. They try to turn everybody against you. It's called NPD, narcissistic personality. You're their tool or a target. Once you become a target, they turn everybody against you. Police, doctors, everybody in leadership to make you look crazy. She even said on the camera she was going to make me look crazy. That's their mentality. That's why they're dangerous. And I know that things may happen when you're younger, but I learned a long time with them. There is no changing. A hurt snake is still a snake. And when they recover, they bite. So that's why I had to cut them off. But I couldn't do that with my mom. Like, I didn't have proof, but these things are very real. So that happened last week. The only reason I knew is because my oldest sister, Terry Coleman, my mother, and a cop I saw on my Ring camera inside of this apartment. And I listened, and they were calling my name. So I didn't hear.
My sister, my mother, a priest, a cop, and a rabbi walk into my apartment.
Any of that. I didn't hear any of that, or else I wasn't here. Because I would have come out and said, check the cameras. I have nothing to hide. Long story short, she didn't press the charges. I stayed there and I said, hello, I'm here to support my mom. They turned very hostile and belligerent and even threatened to throw us out. And if y'all can't get it together by your court hearing, then I'm gonna just have to let y'all go. I'm like, what's there to get together? Miss Evelyn Roberts is the senior leasing agent. She was the one making this threat. She had told me the week prior, after I had emailed her higher up about Debbie coming in illegally and then being able to purchase a key. She said, well, I'm not gonna do anything else where it's just one person. Y'all have to all be together. Really, I'm the only lease signer. It should only require me. But she knew that on camera that was showing that she was about to give now my oldest sister a key without my knowledge. The same thing that she did with the younger one, the Debbie. So Eric Burkett is her higher up. I asked him to change the locks at 8:30 a.m. I emailed him. By 9 o'clock, maintenance was there. Change the locks. Then I went downstairs and I said, can you please ensure that all key fobs, electronic key fobs, are necessary to come to the main entrance, that they're all disabled because Debbie had purchased them. I'm gonna make sure that this is Miss Evelyn Roberts. I'm gonna make sure they're all disabled. Okay. Then she gave us 2 new ones and 2 sets of keys for me and mom. Well, that's when my oldest sister came down, and all of a sudden she has keys and a fob to come in as she please, and my mom can't. So I asked them just yesterday, I said, I pleaded with them, can you please get a new set of keys for my mother? I will pay for them. And I need to know why my sister, who is unauthorized and doesn't live here, even though she's daughter, she's not on the lease, she doesn't live here. Why can she be coming in and out all this weekend? No, she's not. I said, it's on camera and fobs are traceable. Well, your mom has a key. We gave her one. And I said, when? They would never answer. She's on her way in now with your sister. You can ask her. I'm on the phone with you, ma'am, and you distributed them, right? I'm just asking, when did you give my mother a key? What? They would never answer it. Instead, her boss, Evelyn Roberts, got the phone, yelled at me, you're a live-in caregiver, click. That was the end of that. So you know what that tells me? That the same issue that I contacted her higher up, Eric Burkett, about, I asked him, how can we ensure that this problem never happens again, that we nor the other residents in this building are put at risk? And he answered very vaguely because they didn't want to acknowledge they messed up the first time. He said, office personnel will be handled accordingly. And they end up doing the same thing when my oldest sister came just a week and a half later. So that tells me that they probably did give my mother a key. And why would you ask me to ask her when you know she has dementia? I believe they gave it to my oldest sister, Terry, and they're using her, manipulating her in this stage, just like they did to get her to sign the advance directive, to sign the power of attorney. How can they get her to sign something April 27th? By the way, that's only 3 days after this filing. I'm telling you, it's a retaliation effort to try to take over and try to destroy me. They only steal, kill, and destroy. How can you get her to sign anything where it requires you to put a date? And she hasn't been able to tell you what year it is in over 2 years. So.
All right, Ms. Berry, this would be the chance for you to suggest questions. Got a bit of an echo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just
Okay, can you hear me?
We're just going to deal with it, and then I'm going to mute myself after I finish saying what I'm going to say. So, this is the chance for you to suggest questions to the court. If I think they are relevant or appropriate, then I will ask them. Keep in mind the standard of proof for stalking. It is defined under Georgia law as a course of conduct that is harassing or intimidating with no legitimate purpose. And all of those words have their own specific definitions under Georgia law. So is there any conduct that you think she alleges fits in that category that you think the court needs to address with follow-up questions?
Absolutely not. I have never stalked Charlize. Basically, and I see my mother all the time. I talk to my
I'm going
mother.
to press pause right here on you, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
As I mentioned at the beginning, the part where you get to tell your side of the story has to come at the end. So we're not
Okay,
quite, we might be at the part where you get to make statements, but I'm not sure yet.
Okay, so
but if not, we're potentially close. All right. So, Madam Petitioner, did you have any other witnesses you intended to call? I'm sorry, Ms. Frizzell, did you have any other witnesses you intended to have testify?
Oh, no, sir. No, Your Honor.
Okay, so with that, the petitioner has rested. Now, Ms. Berry, we were closer even than I expected. This would be the time for you to make a statement if you wish to make a statement. If you want to do so, please raise your right hand and I'll swear you in. Do you swear any statements you make to the court will be the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. What would you like to tell us?
I want to tell you just a little synopsis so you get a clearer picture. When my mother came to move to Georgia, I was traveling. I was traveling in and out of states. Charlize, myself, and Terry, my mother has 3 daughters. So we did not know the true condition of my mother. When my mother came to Georgia, Charlize said they lived here for months. They did not. My mother was here. My mother was happy. I didn't know the full condition in reference to the dementia or Alzheimer's because we had not seen any paperwork. We were in the process of getting that done. Charlize only stayed here. When Charlize came, Charlize stayed here not months. Charlize was here less than a week. Charlize was, her behavior basically was so sporadic. I'm not kidding you. But I told Charlize, you have to get it together or you're going to have to move. I left to go to work. When I left to go to work, Charlize did leave when I came back, but she left with our mother too. Charlize had our mother out here on the streets in Atlanta, Georgia, homeless. We could not find Charlize or my mother. We were looking everywhere. It wasn't until my sister Terry got in touch with Reverend Timothy McDonough at First Corinthians Baptist Church on Moreland Avenue. And that's when we found where our mother was. In between all of this time, I was already in the process. I am the one who moved my mother from Minnesota to my house. I paid for the move. I paid for everything. My mother was disoriented, but because Charlize had sold everything that she owned, even her car. But in my thinking, I'm like, well, okay, Charlize just did what she had to do. You know, she felt like that's what she had to do. From the start, once my mother got here, once I realized, hey, mommy, Charlize hasn't been upfront with us. You know, she hasn't been, and I'm going to say something else. We have never seen any paperwork in reference to dementia or Alzheimer's. My mother, in my opinion, basically was stressed. She went through a divorce and she was always running, looking for Charlize. Okay. My mother had a nervous breakdown. Charlize was homeless in Minnesota. She had just got put out, and my mother had just got divorced. Charlize had just got put out her apartment in Minnesota. And my mother said, that's enough. I'm coming to Georgia. My house has always been open for my mother.
All right, I need to steer. So
I just wanted to give you that, and then I'll go to.
And I try to kind of give her the reins to go, and so I hate to kind of put some guardrails on yours, but specifically this. The part where things are being said that are said by other people, that's really, I can't give evidentiary weight to it. And so what I want to focus in on is what's happened over the last month at the
okay.
So talk.
My mother, we talk all the time. I see her all the time. Okay. So my mother, when she calls and says she needs something, I'm there, you got it.
So my mother called and said, we talked hours. I'm not hours. I can get you phone records. And she says, Deborah, I said, huh? She said, Mommy, you need anything? She said, yeah, I need a shower chair. I said, really? She said, yeah, I got a little small sore on my leg from like the cancer. It's the size of a dime. And when I'm standing up taking a shower, I get tired. I said, okay. Now I didn't question the fact because Charlize has the room with the bathtub. My mother has the room with the shower. I could have said, well, Ma, won't you switch out? I did not. I said, I'm going to get you a chair. I bought a shower chair on Amazon, had it put together and delivered it and took it to my mom. Okay. The next day, hey, Mommy, how you like that chair? Oh, I haven't had a chance to use it. I said, okay, when you going to use it? Well, I don't know. I can't see it. I said, huh? I said, well, Mommy, it's in your shower. I put it in the shower. So try out the chair. Okay. So then a couple of days later, I said, Mommy, have you tried out the chair? No, but somebody else has. She's referring to Charlize. So when she refers to Charlize, honestly, I kind of like change the subject sometimes because they live together and my frame of mind, honestly, she is unstable. Okay. And I'll get into that. So I was like, okay. So I said, okay, well, if she's using it, because other things have come up missing, not just that. All right. So then I go see my mom again. So then we're talking and I said, Mom, I'm coming to get you. I get over there. She said, I want to go to the grocery store. I said, okay, let's go to the grocery store. Whenever I take my mom anywhere, she's not paying for nothing. She picks out her groceries. She pulls her grocery cart. I let my mom be as dependent as she can be because I know from being in nursing, from being in CNA, it's important to be as independent as you can be. My mom chose all her groceries. I paid for it.
All right. So how did you gain access to the apartment?
I gained access to the apartment by asking. Everyone knows me and they see me and they let me in. I'm at the door. They know me as Lucy's.
Who is everyone? Employees, residents, or somebody else?
Residents. So a resident let me in. Residents. Residents know me as Lucy's daughter. Lucy Buckner, our mom, has already told them to let me and Terry in. There is no question about that. There's no past insecurity. There's no illegally getting in. They know me because I'm there. They know me as Lucy's daughter, and they know Lucy has no problem with either one of her daughters coming in that building. Nobody's going to let strangers.
So how did you get access to the physical apartment?
I don't have access to an apartment. Charlize, I want to say she's misinformed, but Charlize is lying. I have no key to my mother's apartment. I've never had a key to my mother's apartment. What I have is, so let me tell you how I got a kiosk to actually get in the building, but not to get to the physical apartment.
You're talking about a key fob,
a key fob, yes, a key fob to get in the building, but never have I had a key to get in her apartment. The reason of that is because when I got back from the grocery store with my mom.
So she doesn't have the actual key. She has a stand that sells keys.
Yes, a key fob to get in the building, but never have I had a key to get in her apartment. The reason of that is because when I got back from the grocery store with my mom, it's all on camera. My mom said, put all the groceries up. She told me where to put everything up. I said, okay, Mommy, we didn't get any meats. I said, let me go back and get some meats from a different store because the meats were so expensive. Now, normally when I do something for my mom, I bring it, I leave it. I don't come back for a couple of days. This particular day, for whatever reason, I don't know why I did something differently, but I'm glad I did. I went and got the meats, spent $60 more, and then let me back up. So when we got the groceries, it was $120 worth of groceries. When we came in the building, people that live in the building were down in the area, and the maintenance man was down in the area. We were all laughing, joking, and where's the cart? I go get it. He went and got the cart. He came back, says dirty. I said, that's okay. It's in bags, and this way we don't have to make as many trips. We can just take it up. Took the food up, put the food up. I said, Mommy, I'm gonna leave the cart here, so I'm going to get the meat. When I call you, you bring the cart down and I could put the meat on and bring it back up. When I went, I was gone for an hour and a half to get the meats, the other groceries. When I came back, I was calling my mom to tell her, okay, Mom, bring the cart down from the car because I'm coming. I didn't have a key fob at that time, a kiosk to get in anything. So I was calling her phone to come down to bring the cart down to get the meat. She wasn't answering. So again, the residents know me. I went in, and then when I get up to my mom's apartment, the TV is blasting. Mind you, my mother does not play her music loud like that. She never has. She never, ever has. It's blasting so much that it's coming out. I can hear it in the hallway. So I'm like, I'm a little complex. So I'm knocking on the door. She can't hear me. I'm knocking on the door. She can't hear me. And finally she comes to the door. I said, Mommy, wow, why is the TV so loud? Oh, Charlize did that. She's a little disorientated. I said, well, can you turn it down? I can't find the remote. She goes behind the TV to unplug the TV. So then I looked and I said, oh, Mommy, I said, because I had put all the fruit in the fruit basket on the counter. I said, oh, Mommy, I'm not knowing anything. I said, Mommy, you put the bananas in the refrigerator? Because I had put oranges, apples, and bananas. So all the fruit was missing. So I'm just assuming it's in the refrigerator. I said, oh, Mommy, you put the bananas in the refrigerator? So bananas go brown, you put them in the refrigerator. And then she looked kind of complex. So then I just opened the refrigerator. I was going to take the bananas out the refrigerator. All the groceries were gone. Strawberries, grapes, bananas, 2 gallons of milk, orange juice, all types of vegetables, coffee, sugar, flour, everything. Because then I started looking in the cabinet and I'm like, wow, what is happening here? I mean, what happened here? You know, because I know different people come in the building and things like that. So now I'm thinking that, oh my God, somebody had been in my mother's apartment. Okay, so now I'm a little frantic. I'm a little scared. I can't call Charlize for the simple fact that Charlize does not correspond with anyone in the family. Absolutely no one in the family. My mother's brothers, sisters, her aunties, me, my sister, absolutely no one. So we kind of like
we have been going a long time, and we have got to focus on the questions that I have to answer. And so here is the focus. She has given descriptions of you taking your mother off-site at odd hours without permission. She has given descriptions of physical altercations between her and your sister, as well as a leasing apartment and an apartment complex employee, I guess is what I'm going to call them for now.
Okay.
Do you have any testimony or statements to make regarding those particular issues?
I have never taken my mother off-site. I take my mother wherever my mother wants to go. At hand, the reason she did the stalking had nothing to do with whatever she's talking about. My sister will talk about that. The reason she did the stalking is because when I noticed all the groceries were gone, I had some words to say to her. Because for number one, the music, and the reason I'm saying this, when all the groceries was gone, I know that my mother did not watch Charlize take all those groceries out the house and not say anything to Charlize. Okay. I know that did not happen. I know that Charlize was in there in a rage, throwing that groceries out that house. I said some things to Charlize. I told her I was going to go to the administrative office and see what else she has been doing. And then I knew that television was loud like that so that other people could not hear what was going on in the apartment. Charlize, that happened on the 22nd. Charlize didn't do the stalking thing until the 1st. I never stalked Charlize. I had no reason to stalk Charlize. I never physically abused my mother, never physically abused Charlize, never touched Charlize, never touched my mom, never would, never have. So no, I've never stalked Charlize and I've never caused her any harm or any damage. You'll have to speak to Terry, who is going to be a witness today in reference to what happened at the leasing office that just happened this past Friday. And then you can also speak to my mother's sister, who's a witness today, who is Deanna, to what happened. Now, in between that time that I had choice words with Charlize on that Saturday about the groceries, since then, I was over there that Sunday. Charlize was in the apartment walking around talking. On that Monday, Charlize walked down the hall with me and my mother, got on the elevator with me and my mother, went down in the lobby areas, waiting in the lobby area with my mother. And every day after that, up until the 1st, I had been to my mother's apartment. Charlize was in the apartment. My mother was in the apartment. And then even on the 1st, when I got this so-called stalking order, I had just left the apartment, picking up my mother. Charlize was there, picking up my mother. I had just brought her some dinner, and me and my mother came back to my house at 7:45. I took my mom back home. At 9 o'clock, that's when I got the information from DeKalb County about a stalking order. All these things that Charlize is saying about dates is a lie. All of it is incorrect. The power of attorney came on that Monday, not after no TPO, not after anything. After I realized what was going on, because when I saw all the groceries were missing, I immediately was going down to the office and the residents, I say, something's going on.
Ms.
So
Frizzell,
that is
do you
how
have any questions that you think I need to ask Ms. Berry?
Most definitely, most definitely.
No, I
So,
don't think you understood my question because it
oh,
wasn't directed
I'm
to you.
sorry.
Ms.
I'm sorry.
Frizzell, do you have any questions that you think I need to ask Ms. Berry?
Just real quick, I don't use shower chairs, number one, and it had hair on it. That was
No,
gross.
this is
So-
questions. I need
Questions,
things, I need
okay.
single
So-
sentence that
Ew.
ends with a question mark.
Okay, so as far as me going down on the elevator with her, wasn't it because she refused to leave on camera when I saw mom had a swollen wrist and I made a doctor's appointment? And she said, oh, well, we're all going to the doctor's appointment. Was that not what it was for?
All right,
Is
we're gonna
that
break
why
that
I
down
was?
into some pieces. We don't need to ask the question multiple ways. So
Okay,
were
okay.
you aware that your mother had a swollen wrist, Miss Berry?
I was not aware that my mother had a swollen wrist. I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that a
Charlize-
doctor's appointment had been made?
Charlize said, no, I'm going to tell you, no. Do you want me to elaborate or no?
Right now, I want to break down the answers to the questions and we'll
Okay.
figure out if any elaboration is necessary. So Miss Berry, did you ride the elevator down with Miss Frizzell or did she ride with you or did you ride the elevator down separately?
We rode the elevator down together.
And she already
Charlize-
asked you to leave at that point.
She had not asked me to leave. Me, Charlize, my mother, and my mother's sister rode the elevator downstairs together.
Okay, and then what happened?
When we rode the elevator downstairs together, Charlize was exclaiming, oh, mom has a doctor's appointment. I called an Uber. I said, well, okay, that's fine. Now we're peaceful. I'm peaceful. My sister, my auntie is there too. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to the doctor's appointment with you because a lot of other things had happened in between that Saturday and up until then. I said, I'm going to the doctor's appointment with you. Okay, so we waited 30 minutes, no Uber. I said, mommy, come on, because we came there to take my mother to lunch. I said, mommy, come on, let's go ahead and go to lunch. And Charlize says, no, the Uber will be here in 10 minutes. All this time, Charlize is texting. She's texting. So I'm like, okay, maybe the Uber's kind of off, COVID-19 or whatever. So then now residents are down. So then a resident says, there goes Charlize again. She didn't call no Uber. She called the police on you. And we looked up and it was DeKalb County. So she lied about the doctor's appointment. She actually had called the police trying to get me and my aunt removed from the property. DeKalb County came and asked my mother, did she want me or her sister removed? My mother said, no, absolutely not. And then Charlize hollers, she's incoherent. She's delusional. Don't believe anything she says. My mother is looking at Charlize like she's half crazy, and so am I. When Charlize does this, and I said, that is not true. That is not true at all. My mother says that's not true. So then
I am not a very handy person around the house. I can't fix much. But when you're going to do a job, you have to do it with the right tool. We recently had some problems with our sink that required some things with the plumbing to be disconnected, reconnected. You had to make sure that it wasn't leaking, it wasn't flooding. And when I started trying to do the work, it was flooding a little bit. And so there's a towel under the sink for that reason. But what's important is that when you go to do that job, you do it with the right tool. I wasn't going to fix those pipes with a hammer. What I needed was a wrench. You have come here today seeking a hammer. It is not the tool that you need to do the job that you're seeking to do. Even if I believe everything that you have said, Ms. Frizzell, one, a large number of the problems that you outlined, including and especially the physical altercations, are with another free-thinking human adult, and you have not filed a protective order against her. There is not evidence here that is sufficient to suggest that the things that were done by Ms. Coleman were done at Ms. Berry's behest. And even if they were, your grievance in that case is with Ms. Coleman more than it is with Ms. Berry because she's the one who chose to do it. It's that old theory of if your friends told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? If Ms. Coleman decides to start something with you, that is Ms. Coleman, not Ms. Berry. Even if you think Ms. Berry told her to do it, implored her to do it, begged her to do it, your issue would be with her.
I understand.
Now, even so, even putting that aside, the things that are happening here are not stalking behavior as it relates to Ms. Berry. Stalking behavior is done to harass and intimidate and has no legitimate purpose. You've described incidents, you've described conflict that has arisen around her presence and her proximity to you, but she is not doing these things even in the way you're describing to be around you at all. It's being done in relation to your mother. Now, probate court is an entity that exists primarily to deal with these types of issues, because the issue you're dealing with, these orders are emergency interventions to prevent ongoing violence. That is what these orders exist to do. It is when someone's life is in danger of being physically taken from them. In the simplest, starkest terms, is what these orders are for. Now, you can get protective orders for less than that, but what they require in the case of family violence is that acts of violence have already been committed by the person on the other side of the case. And in the case of stalking, it requires acts of stalking, which by their definition have an undercurrent of violence and threats to them for these orders to issue. And this is quite simply, this is not what this court is here for, and it is not a court that is capable of addressing the problems that you're describing. And so with that explanation, because I know this case is an onion, it has more layers than I can count, but this is not the remedy that you should be seeking for the problems that you were describing. And so based on that, what I need to do, what the law requires based on the evidence and facts and testimony presented, is that the protective order will be dismissed. Whatever other issues remain regarding the safe and effective care for your mother, I hope can be resolved peaceably and civilly. And if they can't, they need to be resolved through the court system.
They will.
And so with all of that, I can tell the passion both of you have in your voices as you talk. And that's a sign that you're both here at the end of the day about somebody that you both care about. And so with that, whatever your other disagreements are, I hope you know that you both share that common ground. I wish both of you luck moving forward. We're going to place you both in the waiting room, and you and any witnesses you may have had present for today are free to log off. Thank you both.
Thank God. All right, guys, it's been great. I will see you mañana. God bless. KCC is on next. Go check her out. Kitchen Court Cases. Thank you for everybody. Thanks for the memberships. Thanks for the super chats. I will see you tomorrow. And remember, I'm time and you've been